In the occupied territories of the Donetsk region, the water and heating situation is rapidly deteriorating. In Donetsk, people queue at plastic containers where they collect water with canisters and bottles. Many buildings have no heating and the elevators are not working, forcing people to carry water by hand to the upper floors. The situation is so dire that local residents staged a spontaneous rally in one of the city's districts. Photos posted by local residents show desperation. Elderly people and women stand by water tanks trying to collect at least a little water for their families. In some areas, water is delivered only occasionally. According to the so-called head of the DPR, Denis Pushilin, they can't increase the number of tanks due to a lack of transportation. This effectively means that Donetsk's infrastructure has collapsed and water has become scarce. Residents report that the companies supplying water and fuel are linked to Pushilin's inner circle. Even Z-bloggers are reporting this. Once industrial, Donetsk, the heart of Ukraine's Donbass, has now become a survival zone. The city, without adequate water supply, heating or sewerage, is the result of a decade of occupation and the Kremlin's irresponsible governance. Earlier, Z propagandists stopped denying that life in Donetsk was much better under Ukraine. The humanitarian disaster with the water supply continues in Donetsk, and now even Russian Z-bloggers are forced to admit the obvious. It is not Ukraine that is to blame, but Russia itself and its puppets. Maxim Kalashnikov, a well-known propagandist, claimed that the crisis was caused by the disgusting, incompetent actions of the current government, which was appointed by Kremlin curators. He claimed that the water supply system in Donetsk was effectively destroyed by the actions of Moscow and its proxies. This means residents can't live a normal life. They can't take a shower, bathe their dogs after a walk, or even wash dishes. Water is infrequent, dirty and insufficient, yet authorities continue to promise new water mains that don't solve the problem. Kalashnikov also recalled that the so-called head of the DPR, Denis Pushilin, was appointed from Moscow and that no independent People's Republic ever existed. The water crisis in Donetsk was caused by the vile, incompetent actions of the current government, which was handpicked by Kremlin handlers. Kalashnikov admitted. Thus, even Russian propagandists openly say it was the Kremlin that brought Donbass to a social catastrophe from which there is no escape in sight.
Wrapped tightly around his forearms, the former Israeli soldier feels the snake's cold skin against his, and for a moment he's able to breathe. According to Associated Press, it's been nearly 18 months since he left the army after fighting in the war in Gaza, and the flashbacks and panic attacks haven't ceased. He was wounded in a Hamas missile attack on his military base, and said 2 of his friends, also soldiers in their 20s, died by suicide. This farm in central Israel dedicated to helping soldiers has been a lifeline, he said. Israel's longest war is leaving a trail of traumatized soldiers, with a growing number suffering from mental health illnesses after 2 years of war with Hamas. Reports of post-traumatic stress disorder, depression and other mental health problems are increasing among soldiers, as are suicides. Israel's defense ministry says it has documented nearly 11,000 soldiers suffering from mental health injuries since the October 7, 2023, Hamas attack that triggered the war in Gaza. That accounts for more than a third of the total 31,000 troops with such injuries in all of Israel's conflicts since its founding nearly 80 years ago. The ministry defines mental health injuries as PTSD, anxiety, depression and other mental health issues. Suicides have also spiked. In the decade preceding the war, the number of soldiers taking their own lives in the army averaged 13 per year. Since the war, the number has risen, with 21 soldiers dying by suicide last year, according to the army. The figures, which account for active duty and reserve troops, don't include soldiers who took their own lives after leaving the military. A report published by Israel's parliament last month said an additional 279 soldiers tried to take their own lives from January 2024 through July 2025 but survived. The 27-year-old former soldier, who worked as a radio technician for about 6 months at the start of the war, said he came to the farm earlier this year because he felt lost.
So I'm suffering from complex PTSD after Kharkov Barzel war, and I had 2 friends who killed themselves after the service in this war. And basically, this farm was a saving place for me, my lifeline, and I'm really happy that being here is just being here, giving me the opportunity to breathe.
We created this place after my close friend Danny from my team in Agos committed suicide, struggling from PTSD. And our intention here is to prevent the next Danny. We want to help as many veterans, females and males, struggling with PTSD to prevent them from doing the same.
אנחנו רגע נעשה איזושהי חזרה על כל הסימנים של השפת גוף. איך לנסות להרגיע את הסיטואציה, אותי, אותו, וזה היה לנו לקרוא. אוקיי, כלב בעוררות ממש 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 גבוהה, לא יכול... קוראים אותנו כמו שצריך, ולא קוראים את השפת גוף שלנו כמו שצריך, ודוחקים אותנו לפינה. אנחנו לא רוצים את זה.
וואו. אני מאוד מאוד רואה גם את האופי של כל אחד. אני יודע להגיד שנודל זה הרבה יותר חששן וביישן.